It starts as a quiet headline, easy to scroll past, but heavy with consequence. UK over-70s warning. DVLA confirms new driving law. Big changes ahead. For many people over 70, driving is not a luxury. It is independence. It is freedom. It is dignity. And now that freedom is standing at the edge of a major shift that could reshape daily life for millions across the country. For decades, the ability to drive has symbolized self-reliance. It means shopping without asking for help, visiting family on your own terms, attending appointments without explanation, leaving the house when you choose, not when transport allows. For people who grew up in an era where driving meant adulthood, confidence, and contribution, the idea of new restrictions strikes far deeper than paperwork. It reaches into identity itself. The new DVLA confirmed changes have triggered anxiety, confusion, and a flood of questions. Who will be affected? What exactly is changing? When will it begin? And perhaps the most emotional question of all, will I still be allowed to drive? Over 70s have always lived with certain rules around license renewal, but what is different now is the scale and structure of the change. This is not just about ticking a box every few years. This is about more frequent checks, tougher standards, and stronger links between medical fitness and driving status. The intention behind it is presented as safety. The impact, however, reaches far beyond the road. For many older drivers, the car is their final remaining link to full independence. Children grow up and move away, friends pass on, public transport becomes harder to use. Bus routes disappear, steps become steeper, waiting in the cold becomes painful. In these realities, the car is not convenience, it is survival. That is why this law feels so personal. One of the most significant concerns lies in how health and driving are now being linked more tightly. Conditions that were once managed privately may now carry direct consequences for license status. Vision changes, mobility limitations, cognitive decline, heart conditions, diabetes. Each of these already carries emotional weight. Now, tied directly to driving eligibility, they also carry fear. Many older drivers already live with the worry of one day being told they must stop. That day feels like a cliff edge, life before and life after. The new law makes that cliff feel closer for some and steeper for many. Another major change is the frequency of review. More regular checks mean more paperwork, more declarations, more scrutiny. For people who value quiet routine and stability, this constant renewal can feel intrusive. It transforms what was once a long-standing right into something that feels temporarily borrowed. Even those in good health are not immune to the psychological effect. When a license becomes conditional rather than assumed, confidence can shift. People may begin to doubt their abilities long before there is any genuine reason to. And once doubt settles in, it changes behavior. Driving becomes cautious to the point of hesitation. Routes shrink, night journeys stop, long trips disappear. Independence narrows quietly, long before any official decision is made. Families feel this change too. Adult children already worry about aging parents on the road. Some worry too much, some worry too little. The new law adds a new layer of tension to conversations that are already difficult. Do you think you should still be driving? Have you told them about that condition? Are you sure your eyesight is good enough? These questions come from love, but they can feel like accusations to the person who has driven safely for 50 years. The impact on identity cannot be overstated. For many over 70, driving is tied to pride. It represents competence, responsibility, control. To lose that, even partially, feels like losing a part of oneself. It is not just about transport, it is about who you are in the world. There is also a quiet class divide hidden inside this change. Those who live in cities with strong transport networks may adapt more easily. Taxis, trains, buses, community services. Options exist. But in rural areas, the car is often the only realistic way to live normally. Shops are miles away, GPs are distant, pharmacies are limited. Without a car, daily life can become impossible. In those places, losing a license does not mean inconvenience. It means isolation. This is why many pensioners are feeling uneasy, even if they are confident in their current health. The law does not just affect those who should stop driving, it changes the emotional climate for everyone over 70 behind the wheel. There is also fear of misunderstanding. The system relies heavily on honesty, self-reporting, medical transparency. But what happens when people are afraid that telling the truth could take away their independence? Fear can lead to silence. Silence can lead to risk. And risk can lead to the very accidents the law is trying to prevent. This sets up a dangerous tension between safety and secrecy. At the same time, the law reflects a genuine concern that cannot be ignored. Roads have changed. Traffic is faster. Junctions are busier. Technology is more complex. Reaction time matters more than ever, and some drivers, through no fault of their own, do become unsafe as they age. Families who have lost loved ones to road accidents often support these changes strongly. For them, prevention is everything. They see the law as protection, not punishment. These two perspectives now stand face to face in national debate. Protection versus independence. Safety versus dignity. Law versus lived experience. Most over 70s are not reckless. They know their limits. They self-restrict already. They stop night driving. They avoid fast roads. They plan routes carefully. They leave extra space. They adapt quietly. But when rules tighten from above, it can feel as though that quiet responsibility is being ignored. Another dimension lies in medical access itself. Doctors are already under extreme pressure. Appointments are limited. Wait times are long. If medical confirmation becomes more central to driving eligibility, delays could grow. A missed form, a delayed letter, a postponed appointment, any of these could suddenly interrupt someone's legal right to drive. The fear of being trapped by bureaucracy is real. Then there is technology. Some of the new changes place greater emphasis on digital communication, online forms, digital updates, automated reminders. For many over 70, this world still feels distant and unforgiving. Mistakes happen easily, passwords are forgotten, notifications missed, and in the background sits the quiet worry that one wrong click could cost them their license. The law is not only testing physical ability, it is testing confidence in systems many older people never grew up with. Yet within all this fear and tension, there is also an opportunity that must not be ignored. These changes open the door for real conversations about how society treats aging, about what support exists when independence shifts, about whether transport alternatives are truly accessible for those who need them most. Because if the right to drive becomes more fragile, the right to move freely must become more protected. Communities will need to adapt, families will need to step in more, local transport services will need investment. Without that wider support, the law risks creating isolation rather than safety. For many over 70, the hardest part is not the idea of one day stopping driving. It is the idea that that day might come suddenly, through a letter rather than a choice, through a form rather than a conversation, through a system rather than understanding. Choice matters deeply in later life. Losing choice hurts more than losing ability. There is also a quiet fear that the threshold will shift again, that what qualifies as fit today may not tomorrow, that standards will tighten gradually until more and more people find themselves excluded. The uncertainty creates a sense of standing on moving ground. Some older drivers are already reacting by selling cars early. Others are driving less. Some are refusing to talk about it at all. Each response reflects how differently people cope with threat. It is important to remember that age alone does not define ability. There are drivers over 90 who remain calm, skilled, and safe. There are drivers under 30 who pose far greater risk through distraction. Sweeping rules based on age inevitably feel unfair to those who remain capable. At the same time, society has always drawn lines. Teenagers face restrictions. Professional drivers face tests. Now, the spotlight falls more sharply on later life. What matters most is how the transition is handled, with fear or with support, with punishment or with planning, with silence or with dialogue. For anyone over 70 watching this now, the warning is not meant to provoke panic. It is meant to encourage preparation. Understanding your responsibilities. Staying honest about your health. Getting regular eyesight checks. Talking openly with family, knowing your options before urgency forces your hand. Preparation preserves dignity. For families, this is not a moment for confrontation, it is a moment for compassion. Listen before you advise, ask before you decide. Trust before you insist. The person behind the wheel is not just a driver, they are your parent, your grandparent, your role model. Their fear is real, even if their risk appears obvious to you. And for society as a whole, this is a test of values. Do we simply remove independence in the name of safety, or do we replace what is taken with equally powerful support? Because safety without access is not protection, it is containment. The truth is that driving has never just been about transport, it has always been about freedom. The freedom to choose when to leave home, where to go, who to see, what to do. That freedom does not lose its value with age. If anything, it becomes more precious because so many other freedoms have already narrowed. The DVLA changes will shape the daily lives of millions, not through accidents and headlines, but through quiet shifts. A missed trip, a cancelled visit, a shopping day that becomes delivery only, a life that becomes slightly smaller without ever being named as such. That is the hidden cost of losing the wheel. Yet change does not always mean loss. For some, it will mean safer roads, fewer life-altering crashes, greater peace of mind. For families who worry every night when a loved one drives alone, it may bring relief. Both truths exist at the same time. What cannot be allowed to happen is that older people face this change alone. The conversation must remain human, not just legal. The decisions must feel fair, not arbitrary. The support must be real, not symbolic. Because when the car keys are finally handed over, what matters most is not the vehicle that is left behind. It is the life that continues beyond it. Outro. For those over 70, the road ahead may be changing, but your place on it still matters. These new DVLA rules are not just a test of driving ability. They are a test of how we value independence, dignity, and aging itself. Whether you welcome these changes or fear them, one truth remains. Growing older should never mean disappearing from the world. And whatever happens to the license in your wallet, your right to live fully must never be questioned.